Hey Fab Fam, it's Vinny B with Dead on Board Gaming, and today I wanted to talk about the Ban and Restricted announcement in Flesh and Blood today, December 14th, 2001. We're almost there, guys. We're almost at the end of the year. We can try again next year, right? Try again. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of go over their announcement. Long story short, they made no changes. If that's all the information you need from me, there you go. If not, I wanted to talk about, kind of my thought and kind of see what you guys feel. I know there's a lot of people that think this was a terrible announcement. I do not. Especially for their reasoning. They have a policy where they don't want to make changes like this in the middle of a season. The season should be over. The constructed season should be over. But there are postponements in some countries due to COVID. So instead of making any change, whether they had it or not, they didn't say, they said they were watching the format. But instead of making a change now, they decided for that reason they weren't going to make it. Then they went on to say and acknowledge that the format seems to be shifting and warping to where, Oldham and Lexi and some other heroes are starting to find success against Briar. Briar is also making changes into an Earth build, which is completely different. Well, not completely different, but it's different than the Cheerio deck. Well, completely different. I'll go with completely different. But it's a different deck than the Cheerio version. It's looking to swing harder and less so. So the meta is kind of moving in its cylindrical process. Break paper, rock, scissors. And if we give it more time, it should shift, and shift. Whether it's the deck's changing strategy or not, that's a different thing. Like if Briar continues to stay on top and she just comes up with like 4 different strategies that just tackles everything, sure. It's bad. Now, them not making this change until their next banned and restricted thing, which is February 2nd, which I love. It's before the new set drops. So they're going to take care of anything they feel needs taken care of before we even look at what's going on in the next set. Some people might not agree with that. Let me know what you think. Some people might be like, let us see what the new set does. But if they find anything that actually needs done, whether banned or unbanned, I like that they're going to do it before we get a month into a new format and there'd be a bigger issue, especially with the gap now. Now there's a 2.5 month gap between ban and restricted announcement. There's no big events other than the ones that are postponed until, the ProQuest? So there's not a whole lot with big cameras on it, but it doesn't change the fact that it does affect the local metas. Now, my thing with the local metas is they should be shifting anyways. Again, finding ways to combat this is part of the game. And unfortunately, your hero can't always be good. I understand that we're attached to certain heroes and we want them to always be viable. The game is balanced to the point where they kind of should be. So when there turns out a deck like this, I can understand the feel bads. But TCGs don't work like that. Like, there has to be a best deck. Decks fall in and out of favor. There doesn't have to be a best deck, but there has to be something that everyone's looking to beat and kind of move the cylinder. You know what I mean? Some heroes are going to run into bad matchups during this time period, and then let's just say a hero takes over. There's going to be a new set of matchups that are bad. And this game is one of those games where we are... reps are so important. Not only reps with your deck to learn your deck, but also reps against each matchup and what they're trying to do and what you need to change. Not to mention that they have different versions of their deck. So not only do you have to do that, once you start playing, you have to figure out as fast as possible what version they're on and then adjust your game plan again to adjust for it. So if you're newer and you're still just jamming cards, believe me, that only works in certain matchups. Now, I'd also like to point out that this last season came pretty much right after Tails dropped. And again, back to reps and time that it takes to figure out these heroes. Just like in Magic, the early part of formats are always aggressive red decks with cheap damage outputs. That's because while everyone else is trying to figure out how to play the new stuff, the people that are like, I'm going for EV, baby, they're jamming aggro. While you're figuring out your cards and figuring out your new hero and figuring out this and that, they're jamming damage down your throat. That is a great strategy for a new format. This was a new format. It got discovered. People got like this. It takes time to figure out the matchup. Again, in this game, it takes time to figure out matchups. Like, you can't just sit down and be like, I can just beat you. You have to, like, understand and start to get the flow of their deck that you haven't really seen, the flow of your deck, especially if you're using a new hero, them against each other. So this all takes time, and I feel like we're falling into all other TCGs where when you're having a bad time with your deck, you just want to see the game fix itself and not you adjust. And again, that's just not how trading card games work. And there will be a moment, again, as long as this game stays as balanced as it is, and they keep making these things, your hero will find its time in the sun. Or your class. I'd probably put it more on class. Honestly, especially going forward, if they don't come back and keep touching base with all these heroes, some heroes will find gaps in when they're good. Again, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a second and third hero that you love. If that's not something you're into, there are cheap, great formats. Commoner Blitz is amazing. We've been playing it down at our local. Louis at Kitchen Table TCG's been pumping it. That's what this video was supposed to be about, but then I kind of had a little bit of passion behind my love for the decision LSS made and where they're sitting. They also went on to, again, they were acknowledging that the metas were changing, and they feel that it will be fine. So let's move the Blitz. Blitz did conclude. December 5th, I think, was the last one. They said they had 150 events during the Blitz season, and they were pretty happy with the way it all shook out. Even with Briar being on top, Dorinthia was right behind it by 3%, I believe. Oldham was behind her by, I think, 3%. And then I think Kano was below that by 4%. And there might have been one more in there. I had it up and it was messing with my videos. And this is like my 5th time recording this. And I just wanted to get through it. But basically, the win rate of the events were fairly close. There was 5 in double digits, which is, they think, and I also think, that that's a fair place for a format to be. Especially with changes coming up and everything like that. The only other thing that I think is kind of on the side of the people concerned is that Briar has 400 legend points just behind Chain, and she did all this in one season. Again, that is a thing. But again, we have new heroes coming. I don't think we have anything besides the postponed events that are going to add to the legend list. So we get to enter a new format and start tackling things again right before they start adding legend points again. So maybe Briar falls down a little bit and gets to hang out a while because there are some Briar fans, right? Or is everybody playing Briar because she's busted? I don't know. But I am excited to see what they say on December 2nd. Again, I agree with everything. What do you guys think? I know there's some people that are very upset. And again, I know some of them are worried about what it's doing to their local meta, and saying that their attendance is down. They want to dismiss the fact that it is Christmas and December, but you shouldn't. If you don't come from another TCG such as Magic, there are dead zones in the game, and right now is one of them when everyone's spending their money on Christmas. Holidays are coming, and then I think it's summer when everybody's outside spending money on other things. TCGs do take a hit. Attendance will take a hit. But when you get to January, February, March, when everybody doesn't have much going on, they should pick back up. Beginning of summer is usually a very good one. Midsummer, when everybody's out doing their thing, they do their thing. Fall's a great time for TCGs. This isn't, I'm not making this up. This just happens in almost every TCG that's a game played. Like, I don't know if it affects, like, Pokemon, because I don't know how many people actually play Pokemon compared to collect it. I know that's been a big subject out in the ether. But anyways, guys, that's all I really wanted to kind of get in. I kind of wanted to just go over it with you guys, tell you what I think. I think they're doing a good job. I think not rushing to do anything was a good idea, especially with some changes coming, and giving the fact that they're doing it on the 2nd, 2 days before Everfest drops, I think is also great. That way, looking at the last couple events and kind of going over everything, they can reevaluate everything and not have to rush into anything, but also make the change before the new format hits, so they don't have to ban anything early in the format. Again, let me know what you guys think. As always, thank you guys for being the best community in gaming, and I will catch you guys next time.